Welcome to Emtron Training Part 19. In this training tutorial, we're going to take a look at the relationship we have between lambda, air fuel, and the stoichiometric point of the fuel that we're dealing with. So for example, gasoline, petrol, air fuel, or ethanol, or methanol. We're going to find out how all these fit together and how Emtron utilizes all of this to be able to establish a proper amount of fuel to deliver into the engine. Without further wait, let's jump in so we can check this out.
Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at understanding the relationship between lambda and the stoichiometric ratio of the fuel that we're tuning in our fuel system. This relationship is important to understand because we have some background fuel calculations that are being performed in our Emtron, and those calculations hinge upon making sure that we're representing our stoichiometric ratio for the fuel that we're dealing with properly in our software. This might seem like a basic, just one-click option, just click on and type in what you're running for the specific stoichiometric ratio for the fuel type that we're dealing with, but I want to make sure that we understand this fundamental background calculation that's going on so that we are making sure that that parameter that we have to program is going to be valid, and then we also understand the cross-linking between lambda and the stoichiometric ratio that we're selecting. There is this relationship that a lot of people don't understand. It's kind of a gray area or a fuzzy topic. I want to make sure it's very clear here and the importance of how they're linked together. So there's going to be two different things we take a look at and talk about in this video, two specific areas I should say. So the first thing I want to talk about here is if we go into fuel and we drop down here under lambda target tables, we'll find we have our lambda table 1. This specifies what we want to run our lambda target at in our fuel modeling. Now we know we have an underlying equation. We've talked about this already in several other videos. We have fuel mass is equal to air mass divided by target air fuel. Now this is going to be specifying what we want the target lambda to be at, and then based on what the stoichiometric ratio of the fuel that we're running in our fuel system, it'll then convert that into an actual target air fuel and allow it to scale up or down our fuel mass calculation. So if we have a smaller number, let's say we know our air mass that's coming from our either estimation of our volumetric efficiency here, this is estimation of airflow, or we're directly measuring the airflow from a mass airflow sensor. Either way, we know what the actual airflow or mass airflow or air mass is coming into the engine, and then we would go in here and specify what we'd like to have our target air fuel to be at, or the target lambda, based on the stoich ratio that we're dealing with. We actually know what that target air fuel is going to be, and that'll allow us to calculate the fuel mass. If we inaccurately represent the stoichiometric ratio for the fuel that we're dealing with, that'll lead to a fuel modeling problem, meaning the fuel mass that we would calculate and turn into an injector pulse width, knowing things like our static flow or the slope of our injector, the dead time, and the nonlinearization characterization table, all of that data won't be converted into a proper injector pulse width because we're not going in and we're not representing the target air fuel properly in our air mass divided by target air fuel side of the equation. So we need to make sure that this makes sense in understanding the relationship of how we have the stoichiometric ratio and the lambda fitting together. So we'll talk about this. We're going to come back in here in just one second and talk about this. But we need to actually specify what that stoichiometric ratio is going to be in the software here, so that that target air fuel that we're going in and how and linking together to the lambda target here is going to be performing that background calculation correctly. If we go jump into config and we go across here under fuel and into fuel main, we're going to find down here our third option. This is the stoichiometric ratio setup. This specifies what the stoichiometric ratio should be based on the fuel that we're dealing with. Different fuels have different stoichiometric ratio that we have to associate with them in order to make sure our fuel modeling is accurate. Now, if we look at our menu here, we find that we have a whole bunch of different options. 0 is default of 14.7. Then we have a custom table option that's more for flex fuel based tuning. We have gasoline or pure petrol air fuel, pure petrol air fuel. Then number 3 here is E85 alcohol. That's if we have E85 fuel. Then we have E100 or pure ethanol, methanol, propane, and diesel. Each of these options will reestablish a different stoichiometric ratio, and then it's going to be linking to whatever we specify here in our target lambda table here. If we jump back to tuning, in our target lambda table here, there's a direct relationship between lambda and the stoich ratio scale of the fuel that we've selected. So then when we go in here and we select this option here, whatever this is going to be, whatever kind of fuel we're dealing with, we're essentially telling the Emtron
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here. And you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.